Hello and welcome back to Marvel Puzzle Quest with me, P.I. McLeod. Do you like purple? There's a good amount of purple showing there, isn't there? Look at that. Hey John, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Color purple ends up being one of my favorite colors recently, but no, it's not really, but still. This is a beautiful sight. Thank you to the developers so far for making the 10-year build-up for the anniversary something for us longtime vets to look forward to. Okay, 2023, right? 4 stars, huh? Oh, by the way, did you see the new character coming out? Anyone? Anyone pay attention to Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, anything else? You see Dr. Bong? Not even joking about the name. His head looks like a bell. His hand looks like a, well, some sort of, a mallet you would use to strike a bell. It's ridiculous. I guess it's an old-time villain. He used to fight against Deadpool and also She-Hulk. Of course, the fourth wall breakers. Whatever. I don't know a lot about him or anything really for that matter, but he's a new character coming up because they always put out their quirky characters when it's anniversary time. Kind of like a little just fun part of the celebration. So, here he comes. Yeah, rewards worth 10 years, right, John? And this isn't even like 10 years if you look at that. It's, the idea being that we've still got, 20-ish more days to go before the actual 10-year mark? Yeah, if you see him on there, he looks weird. The name looks definitely pre-internet memes. It's like, yeah, current day he wouldn't survive past the laugh test. Everyone would just laugh him out. Anyways, okay, let's go. Versus. Where are you at? You're around here somewhere. There you are. Class of 2023. Click, click. Boom. I don't care who you are. We don't care. We're going to filter, sort by 5s. Too bad it doesn't save the filter in between these things, but whatever. Okay. Oh, we don't want 5s. We did 5s. We want 4s. Silly me. We're going to rate the 4 stars of 2023. This is what we got to deal with so far. From this point forward, I think we've gone over everyone who's not a 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star character. And let's be fair, that's not endgame material. Well, at least it used to not be. Now with Champs 2.0 or the Ascension system, I guess anyone could be, but let's just pass that by and move on with what we're doing. I'm going to go through these characters in alphabetical order, starting with the first one here, which looks to be Clea. And we're going to go through them in alphabetical order. We'll get back to Penny Parker when it is her turn in alphabetical order. We'll give them a low, medium, or high rating. And, maybe there'll be a little wiggle room for in-between marks, like a high, medium, or whatever. But, we'll judge it based on their viability as a solo character, what they bring to the table, how much they rely on others, etc., etc. Ready? And go. Clea, the Sorceress Supreme? I mean, come on. Right? I know it's Sorcerer. I'm being silly. She comes in with a very Doctor Strange set of abilities. You got a blue, you got a purple, you got a yellow, just like he does. And just like him, there's a stun on blue and different effects on the purple and yellow, yellow being a retaliate ability. But that's where it all ends. These things do much different things in total. Clea is a much different package. And, well, let's take a look and see why. Pump up the manacles to level 5 for 9 blue, same price as Doctor Strange's. Select a blue basic tile, create a 1-turn repeater that deals some pretty good damage each turn. While it's on the board, the target's powers may not be activated and they only deal damage to Clea. In other words, it's not a stun. Surprise! Actually, it's better than that because you're taking. Let's spell it out here. This is a very unique ability. While this tile's on the board, that target's powers cannot be activated. In other words, they can't fire off their stuff at all. All 3 of their color things, nope, can't use them. Okay? And they can only deal damage to Clea. So Clea has to become the tank of any match damage from that character. but no powers can be fired from that chosen character. That can really severely cripple someone. You know, there's a lot of characters that like have passives that are required that makes up their entire build, and now they're nothing. They're just a blank slate. It's a pretty cool ability when you think about it, but you still need 9 blue. In other words, this thing isn't doing anything without you getting that 9 blue AP first. And nowadays, that's somewhat of a higher price. Let's move on down to the purple. You liking the new stream map? Thanks, John. I kind of thought it was a cool idea to have the text showing there on the side. I got all this real estate, so why not use it, right? This purple, the creative caster, is really the fun of this character. You could do so much with this ability, and you just got to think about it when you use it. So in other words, unfortunately, that's kind of lowers her value. You just can't go ahead and fire away and expect to win. But at the same time, you could pull off some crazy from behind victories or just upsets that wouldn't otherwise be possible. For 8 purple, you select a 3x3 set of tiles. You destroy those selected tiles and create a spell based on what those colors are. Okay, so let's get into some examples. If there's 3 or more blue tiles in that 3x3 selection, you stun the target for 4 turns. If there are 4 or more, you stun them for 5 turns, and that's pretty amazing right there. Okay, 8 purple, I should say, and if you choose a 3x3 block that has 4 or more blue tiles in it, you get a 5-turn stun. That's really efficient stun. That's super good. Of course, setting that up is not easy. You have to hope those tiles are there, so you can't just choose to stun whenever you want. You have to have the tiles supporting you. For this part, if you got 3 purples in that 3x3 selection, you create 5 purple trap tiles. If Clea would take any damage, you instead just remove a trap. Kind of like Electra a little bit, only you're not doing damage back. Just kind of removes the damage and you get rid of a trap. If there's 3 or more, well, this one doesn't even need 3 yellows, okay? But for every yellow tile in that selection, you heal or burst heal Clea for a small amount of health. But if there's 3 or more yellows, you burst heal the teammates for a smaller amount per tile. I want you to keep in mind that you're not choosing one of these. So if you happen to get like 3 blues and there's like 2 yellows in that set of 3x3, you're getting a little bit of healing to Clea along with that stun you got because of the 3 blues. Choose your 3x3 block wisely. If there's 3 or more blacks in the area, you get a 4-turn black countdown tile that steals 2 AP in the enemy's strongest color with AP each turn. So, I mean, honestly, you're just depleting what the enemy likes the best, and if it gets down to 0, it'll switch to a different color. That's pretty cool. For every red tile in the selection, so it's kind of like the yellow stuff, right? You deal damage, just straight up. If there's 3 or more red tiles in that selection, that damage is increased by 60%. And finally, if there are 3 or more green tiles in the selection, the destroyed tiles will deal 300% of her average match damage to the enemy team. These are all combinations that can happen. Now, it's only a 3x3, which means there's only 9 tiles in there, so you can't get all the effects. But it happens to be 1 yellow, and 2 red, and 3 blue. So then you're getting a stun with a little bit of healing and a little bit of extra damage on top because of that red. This is all possible with Clea. She could be really fun if you think about what 3x3 set of tiles you're choosing. Of course, this makes her horrible on defense because she will never pick a set of tiles that actually benefits her team. She's just going to randomly pick something. So, computers is not smart when it comes to that. Moving on, Faltinian Inferno. This is, well, let's just skip down to the passive there, right? You guys know what this is by now, I would hope. When an enemy fires a power, you deal damage back to the target, and you do a burst of healing to the team. Sound familiar? But she also has this active part. For 8 yellow, she deals some damage to the target and changes into a Faltinian form. This cannot be held for long, though, so at the start of each turn, she or her team, I should say, loses 1 red. If there's 0 red left, then she turns to normal. So while she's in that Faltinian form, she takes no match damage. That's 0 on the match damage front, okay? And her abilities deal 35% more damage. That includes this passive. And remember how she takes no match damage in here? Remember how this blue says, while that tile's on the board, the target's powers may not be activated and they can only deal damage to Clea? So whoever you targeted with that blue can't match damage her when she's in Faltinian form and can't fire her powers, or their powers. She can be really good at just stopping someone cold, making someone inept, healing and burst damage and all kinds of fun little effects with that purple. She's super good. But you need the AP to fire these things off. B, you have to think your way through it. You know, just because, like, let's say you do like this Manacles of Mokar thing and you hit Colossus or Shang-Chi with it. Sure, you disabled their abilities, which means you disabled some of their powers, which is awesome, right? But they can still match damage you. There's nothing to say they can't. Strike tiles are still going to add damage. You know, stuff like that's going to still work. You still have to think your way through the fight, okay? So she's not invincible. She's not the solution to all your problems, but she can solve a ton of problems if you use her in a smart manner. I'd say she's a solid mid-tier character for 2023. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm just saying that you have to go in with a little bit of thought, a little bit of a plan. She doesn't just hand you a win. You do like the side chat. Hi, Mom. See, I don't get to see this till I look up and look at my computer screen because I am literally playing off my phone the whole time. That's kind of funny. Moving on from Clea, we're going to move down to Colleen Wing. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not too impressed with Colleen Wing. Colleen Wing is, to me, a lot like, it's a lot like a 4-star tank character that doesn't really know how to do anything beyond the 4-star tier. But let's go into why and how. This Calming Breath for 5 blue gives her some healing, plus extra healing for every fortified tile, strike tile, or protect tile on the board, up to 33% more. And then she creates a 6-turn fortified concentration tile. And this is what you're really here for, is that concentration tile. You get up to 3 of them out there, and they power up her other abilities. For each concentration tile out there, her abilities cost 3 AP less. So, and then down to a minimum of 3. You know how this game is. It's minimum of 3 for everything. But 3 AP less on her abilities for each one out there. Yes, this can stack with Shuri. This can stack with Heimdall. This can stack with Black Widow's yellow. You get the point, right? While a concentration tile exists, she can't be stunned, so that's awesome, and does not take damage from attack tiles. Don't confuse that with strikes. Attacks won't hurt her. That's all, okay? But she can't be stunned. That's pretty fun when one of these is out there. And it's only 5 blue to get this out there. It's not bad. Well, what can you do with Calming Breath? Well, let's see. Flashing Blade comes to mind for 9 red. You can deal up to, a good amount of damage for the cost. Plus, double the value of friendly strikes. That's a really big point. That's a lot of extra damage. And then if there are any friendly concentration tiles on the board, you remove one and deal 50% more damage on top of it. So that's really good. That's actually really good damage for that cost. Of course, this is assuming you have strike tiles. Anyways, as a passive, her defense lies in her offense. Basically says she takes less damage from matches and abilities equal to the value of all the friendly strikes. So strikes actually protect her as well. That's pretty sweet. Finally, Heroes for Hire. Sounds familiar, right? Got a 10 yellow, so it's a little pricey. But remember, 3 less per concentration tile. She creates a fortified strike. and projectile with strength equal to the team's strongest match damage. So in other words, if you got, I don't know, Omega Red on your team with you, whatever his match damage is set at, that's what the tile's worth. Then it heals the team for a burst of, well, a large burst of health. Pretty good for the cost, honestly. If there are any friendly concentration tiles on the board, you remove one and create an additional fortified strike tile. Ugh, that's a lot of damage added on. And as a passive, let's go one step further. She gets 180% bonus match damage for each Heroes for Hire on the team. Did you know that she's a Heroes for Hire? So she counts. So if you count her and 2 others, you can get up to, what is that, 540% more match damage? She's just a 4-star. That's a lot of extra match damage. Unfortunately, there's not too many Heroes for Hire in the roster so far. There's a few out there, and they're okay. But I'm just going to let you know that I haven't seen an all Heroes for Hire team come at me yet, okay? I don't think it's that feasible. It's probably something that can be done. Maybe we'll play around with it in the lab one day. But unfortunately, I have to rate her pretty low. And this is why. Sure, her match damage can be high, just right off the get. I'm not going to fault her for that. But everything that she really does relies on her having strike and or protect tiles, special tiles out there. And like her abilities, her red and yellows, rely on this blue countdown getting out there. If she doesn't have these blue countdowns out there, these concentration tiles, her red and yellow are severely neutered. They're not as cool as they should be. And those red and yellows use these blue countdowns. It's not just the countdown's out there and it works. It actually spends the countdown like a resource. So then you need 5 more blue to cast it again. So she's busy chasing blue AP a lot, not to mention needing red and yellow to fire her abilities. So, yeah, as cool as her match damage and passive abilities sound, she's not working without you chasing down specific AP just to make her work. So, unfortunately, I have to rate her kind of low tier. If you get her working, she's stupendous. I would think that she's going to mop the floor with some people, but you gotta get her working, and that could be more trouble than what it's worth. Again, filter to 4-star. I don't know why they took that away from me. She's pretty expensive. The fact that it's only 5 blue. It's like, oh, that's cheap. No, it's 5 blue over and over and over again. Not to mention the cost of the reds and the yellows, which get cheap with blues being out there, but still you need it. Anyways, move on, right? Right. We're going to go to Cosmo, the goodest of boys. I said that for Lockjaw, I think, and well, I think Lockjaw's been dethroned. I think Cosmo's the better dog. That's for MPQ purposes, that is. Even then, I don't know. Cosmo's cool. We got 3 powers to go over. How do I start? Let's start with the really signature one that I happen to have only at level 3. Help from Nowhere. For 7 blue, choose a tile color. Convert 7 random basic tiles of the chosen color. Oh, I should put this up. I'm sorry. Put up roll of 5. Convert 9. Haha. Random basic tiles of the chosen color to charge tiles of that color. In other words, you can make a lot of charge tiles of a certain color if you want. You could really shift this things in your favor. And yes, this would work with Lockjaw on your team as well. You could have a double dog team and have some fun with it. Yes, they are all good boys, definitely, John. As a passive, whenever an enemy matches or destroys a charge tile, they lose 2 AP in the matched color, and their abilities are disabled until the end of their next turn. Do you know how fun that is? You make an enemy match a charge tile of any sort. Like, make them match a match 4. You know how the computer can't resist a match 4, right? It's totally worth it. Because then that character's abilities are disabled to the end of their next turn. It's not this turn, the next one. So, Chasm without his abilities? Say what? Okoye without Wakanda Forever? Come again? Doctor Strange or Clea without the ability to clap back on you for casting something. All of a sudden, Peggy's not making things cost more for a turn or two. This is really good, and it's a passive. You don't have to cast anything to make this work. You just have to make sure the enemy matches his charge tile. Not the hardest thing to do out there. The computer is usually pretty AP hungry. Dog, frog. Nice. Okay, I'm going to move on to the red. The red is very simple, but I'm a big fan of it already. It's 7 red. It's not too expensive. You hit the enemy team for an okay amount of damage. Remember, that's a boosted number there, so it's actually a little less. But you also get an additional amount of damage for every 10% of health his teammates are missing. Missing? That's crazy. Because I don't know if you've done the math, but there's 2 other teammates. And they're constantly taking damage just like you are. So especially if like Hulk or Adam Warlock or Omega Red or someone does team damage to the likes of all of you, well, now you're all missing a little more health. This red is going to hit much harder. It can be strengthened superbly. Don't forget, powering it up with Okoye or Apocalypse or Scarlet Witch or just strike tiles in general. There's so many ways you can make this even better. It's a really good red ability. Does it count dead teammates as 100%? It does, actually, John. I forgot to mention that. Thank you for bringing that up. Maybe you did that on purpose. But yes, that is health your teammate is missing. It causes a lot more damage when a teammate's dead because, that is health that's missing. The only reason I even know that to be true is because I remember in the Welcome to S.H.I.E.L.D., I think there was a downed character at one point, or was it a fight I did afterwards? But, Cosmo basically mentally fried his opposition. Did his best, pretend to be Mewtwo and just psychic fried everyone. It was super powerful and fun to watch for just 7 red. Anyways, and then after that we got TK Field, which is not bad. It is the obligatory protect power for this character. For 6 yellow, you get 4 big old protect tiles, but then if there are at least 5 friendly protect tiles on the board, you fortify up to 3 of them. But wait, there's more. As a passive, when the enemy team removes the fortification from a friendly protect tile, which you can see that he can actually do that. Unfortunately, you need to cast this twice to even get that option, but maybe you have friends to help you with that. Anyways, remove the fortification from a friendly protect or destroys a friendly fortified protect tile. You deal damage to the enemy team. The first time Cosmo drops below half health, you create 5 pretty decent protect tiles. So this could be really fun with fortified characters that make fortified protects. I don't know, does 4-star Black Panther come to mind? Does for me. You could really have fun with this. You remove that fortification, team damage. Oh, did you remove another one? Team damage. Did you hit a charge tile? Oh, I'm just going to nullify your abilities for a couple of turns. I finally have some red, blast the team. Like, Cosmo don't take nothing. He is definitely ready to give it his loudest bark and do his best boy act and fight the enemy team for you. If he has one weakness, it's Quake and Electro, because he has a lot of team damage hitting, and Quake and Electro both nullify that into the ground. But beyond that, his passives are pretty solid. He plays with Fortified Protects and he plays with Charge Tiles. Both are things that other teammates can definitely help him out with. He does need AP to fire off some of his good stuff, which is, kind of common, but it's not expensive. He has nothing that's too expensive to fire. I think he's a very solid character. I'd say he's like a high mid-tier. Above the mid. The only reason he's not higher is because nothing is given with him. You are relying on the enemy to match your fortifications, or the enemy to match a charge tile. This is nothing that you can cause or to happen automatically. You kind of need the enemy to fall into your plans. So he'd be higher otherwise. But that's Cosmo. Definitely a high mid-tier. Let's filter this down again. 4 stars only, please. Thank you. Move over from Cosmo to the newest Human Torch, I'm gonna butcher this name. The Annihilus? Annihilus? I think it's Annihilus. It's got to be, right? Annihilus. No, Annihilus. I like this new Human Torch. Not because I'm a fan of the artwork or anything, although it is pretty cool too. I like the some of the things you can do with his kit. It lends itself to the idea of like some sort of infinite win situations. I had an idea once upon a time for it, and it works okay, decently well. It just, it needs some luck as well. Here, let me get into the what's, who's, and how's about it. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. The Fireball Special. By the way, I saw someone online like, oh, the Human Torch has an ability called Fireball Special, huh? Oh boy, that's original. Like, what did you expect? I mean, it's a guy with a firepower. If you're not throwing a fireball, what? I mean, come on. Are you trying? Anyways. 8 red. You select a tile color. You deal damage and destroy 5 random enemy special or basic tiles of the chosen color. You prioritize enemy specials, by the way. Those destroyed tiles deal damage and grant you AP. If the Cosmic Control Rod repeater tile is on the board, his special deals 90% increased damage. I'll probably have to go to that ability next just to explain it better. But I wanted to point out something here. For 8 red, you're destroying 5 colors of your choice, and you get the AP. So if you have a color on someone else that you really like maybe you really want some yellow AP, select yellow with this Fireball Special, and guess what? You just gained 5 yellow, or blue, or green, or whatever color you choose. Or maybe you had 11 red, and you fire this off and select red. Well, because of the 3 you'd have remaining, plus the 5 you just gained, guess what? You could Fireball Special again. It's a really good ability. You cannot underestimate this one. It does okay damage. It's not that damaging. It's the AP generation and the fact that you're controlling enemy tiles at the same time. It's good stuff. It does get damaging when you add in the Control Rod repeater, though, so let's get to that next. This Cosmic Control Rod only costs 5 black. Very easy to get. You get a 2-turn black Cosmic Control Rod repeater that deals some pretty good damage for the cost, but it also lowers the cost of his abilities by 1 AP down to a minimum of 3, and increases his maximum health by 6% per repeat. If one is already on the board, though, you just fortify it when you cast this again. It's a 2-turn repeater that lowers the cost of your abilities every time it counts down. Are you kidding me? Plus his maximum health goes up. Now, of course, once this repeater's gone, his AP goes back to normal, his max health resets. You get it, right? This is an amazing ability, because you saw that red costs 8, right? And so if this repeater's allowed to go for a couple turns and you get that red to cost only 5, guess who's doing infinite fireballs as long as the red tiles stay plentiful on the board? You could have some real big fun with that. And finally, there's his Annihilation Wave. For 8 green, you convert up to 6 enemy special or basic tiles into pretty good attack tiles. To be quite honest, for that cost at the 4-star level, that's really good. And it prioritizes enemy specials to overrate them. As a passive, at the start of your turn, if the repeater tile, that repeater tile we talked about earlier, is on the board, his attack tiles get empowered by 33%. That's on every turn start. On every turn start, these attack tiles you're making go up in power. It gets really strong after a while. Like, it's basically like you just lit them on fire and then you just keep throwing gasoline on them over and over again. It's super good. He's a pretty strong character. I haven't had too many situations where I've used Human Torch and regretted it. His red helps me generate AP, it helps do damage, it controls enemy tiles. His green controls enemy tiles, makes pretty strong attacks that can get boosted, all because of the Cosmic Control Rod, which is super cheap at 5. I want to point that out again. And that cheap control rod helps reduce the costs and increases your health. He's a pretty good character. Let me look at the roster real quick because I'm torn on what to rate him. Looking at who we have coming up, I guess I do have to rate him only kind of like Cosmo. I'd say like a high mid tier. He definitely can be thwarted. He's not gonna necessarily win right away, but don't give him too much rope. He will definitely burn you alive. I'd say he's a high mid tier because of the fact that he does need a few turns to get rolling. Once he gets his AP up and he can start rolling, then it's dangerous from there on out. So that's my Human Torch and Annihilus. Let's say Annihilus. No, I'm joking. Review. There's the Winfit, needs AP to get going. Yeah. Well, the Winfit idea I had for him was based on Human Torch with 4-star Doc Ock. The new Doc Ock, because the new Doc Ock could use was it his yellow? Or was it the blue? It's one of those two. And you called, I want to say it was the blue. You called the color you wanted. And like you said, it was the yellow. You couldn't call yellow with it, but yeah, any other color you could say, like, oh, I'm gonna cast this yellow, and I want to pick red, right? And then it generates like 5 red, and potentially 2 more if you have certain tentacle tiles out there. So you're generating using the yellow to generate red, and then you can use Human Torch's red to select yellow. And then destroy the yellow tiles. You can go back and forth with it. Like, a lot of fun. Human Torch and Doc Ock were a blast to play together. But, yeah, anyways, moving on, right? From Human Torch, we're going to move to M'Baku. M'Baku reminds me a lot of Colleen Wing. And that's not to say about the looks. That's nothing to do with looks or their walk of life or whatever. Let's ignore all that. M'Baku is basically a straight-up brawler, just like Colleen Wing is. Colleen Wing needs some AP to get going, and, well, some more AP to keep it going. M'Baku is a little different. Let's just start with the red. Each of these abilities has a built-in passive, if I remember correctly, if they aren't just all passives. I think they're all just all passives, that's right. And they make your team stronger, but really focusing on Wakandan members. So the red one says that his match damage is increased by 300%. He's pretty strong right out the gate. I almost find it insulting that he's stronger than Juggernaut. Isn't that weird? Juggernaut doesn't get 300% match damage increase. Anyways, it's also increased by 3% more for each percent of health he's missing. He can get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So in other words, if he's missing 10% health, that's 30% more damage. His strength also helps his friends, so as an extra passive, Wakandan's match damage is increased by 15% for each Wakandan on the team. So if he's on there with Black Panther, that's 30% for everyone. Or if he's on there with Killmonger and Okoye, that's 45% more for everyone. Anyways, really good extra match damage for everyone else. Not to mention himself, he gets a ton. This yellow, he gains a burst of health whenever an ally matches a black, red, or yellow tile. So this is increased by 2% for each percent of health he's missing. Whenever a Wakandan ally matches a black, red, or yellow tile, you give a burst of health to any Wakandans on the team. So basically, black, red, and yellow matches are going to passively heal the team and or yourself. So that's good, right? And of course, you're aiming for black, red, and yellow because those are Black Panther's colors. Those are Okoye's colors. You get the point so far. Obviously, they're not necessarily all Shuri's colors, but Shuri's red would count. Anyways, we're thinking too deep. And finally, Wakanda's Pride. this black passive says that he takes a flat number, not a percentage, a flat number less damage from matches and abilities. This is increased by 1% for each percent health he is missing. See a theme? At 25% health, so when he's pretty low, he cannot be stunned. So in other words, he doesn't go down, quitting. When he gets down low on health, he actually kind of bolsters. Anyways, all Wakandans take 91 less damage, or I shouldn't say that. It's like a flat, small number, because it is boosted, remember? They'll take a small, flat number less damage from matches and abilities for each Wakandan on the team. So, oh, and I did bump it to 5. I apologize. There you go. There you go. Less damage, and then for 2% for each percent of health he's missing. At 40% health, he can't be stunned. I forgot. I apologize for not putting that on there at level 5. So at the end of the day, he is stronger, much stronger, a really strong 4-star. Like Karnak gets really super strong, but he has to take 4 turns to do it. Juggernaut and Rhino and others have really good match damage, but they don't have 300%, and they don't get stronger as they're losing health. Oh, and they're not healing themselves passively. Oh, and they don't have like damage mitigation on top of the passive healing and extra damage they cause. He's not a bad character. The only thing that's bad about him is that a lot of his things revolve around like having other Wakandans with him. But he doesn't need anything to do anything. He doesn't cast a single power. His AP is his team's to use. He doesn't need it for anything. Honestly, he's a very solid 4-star. Even if you take out these passive Wakandan ally points, he still is getting his own healing regeneration with black, red, and yellow matches. He's still mitigating and taking damage away, and he gets stronger and healthier, or better healing, as he gets lower in health. I hate to say it, but he's kind of high tier. When you look at the set of 4 stars you have here for 2023, why haven't we used M'Baku more? He's doing everything we want a tank to do, and he can support himself very well. The only thing he doesn't do is spend AP, but is that really something we're crying about? So, I have to say it. He's definitely a high-tier character because of all he can bring to the table. You don't have to rely about him holding you back. If anything, he's an anchor that you can feel safe behind. I didn't want to... going into it, I didn't think I was going to rate him that high, but the more I read it, the more I'm like, why aren't I using him more as a 4-star? It seems silly that I'm not doing that. Anyways. Scaling issues? Well, yeah. The thing about M'Baku is he gets really hard to kill when he gets low down in health. And not because, he's immune to stun, but it's just he's got so much better regeneration. His damage mitigation is better, and he hits harder. He's the sort of character that once you start fighting him, you better plan on downing him before he gets too strong. Man, yeah. And of course, you could always like pair him with other characters for more effect, with other Wakandans. Yeah, I'm sure Black Panther and Shuri and other 4-star Wakandans would not mind having him on the team. Let's move on over to Mr. Negative. I did not know Martin Lee before he came out in this game. Never knew anything about him. But I learned enough from this and a couple of live matches we had recently to know that he is not to be messed with, at least for Marvel Puzzle Quest purposes. He is part of one of our newest, favoriteest Winfinite combos we've made in this game, thanks to him and amazingly Captain Marvel. And shout out again to Mark for figuring it out. But yeah, good stuff here with Martin Lee. They knew nothing about him either. Yeah, there's a few characters like that in this game, but hey, that's part of one of the beauties of Marvel Puzzle Quest is as much as I think I know about Marvel, there's always someone new coming along that will teach me something, like Dr. Bong coming up. Anyways, this yellow, Deified Organizer for 7 yellow. Look at all that small text, but I'm going to help you sort through it. If there are okay, remember you have to cast this, okay? This isn't a passive, even though it kind of reads like one. So, okay, so you have 7 yellow, imagine, then you cast this. If there are 6 or fewer strike, attack, or protect tiles on the board, you will create 3 pretty decent tiles in the type that has the fewest. Prioritizing protects, then strikes, and then attacks are third. Meaning, so let's say you have, let's say you have like 3 protect tiles and then an attack tile, right? So you don't have any strikes out there. He's going to make 3 strike tiles. He's going to make what you're missing the most of, but he's prioritizing protects first, then strikes, then attacks. Okay? And then he reverts to Martin Lee once he does that. But then, if there's more than 6 total tiles out there, it doesn't really say, but it's implied, you destroy all the strike, attack, and protect tiles you have out there. And this is all, like, this is enemy and friendly, okay? Dealing damage equal to 225% of their total strength, and then you change to Mr. Negative. That's a lot of damage. A lot of damage. There's no cap on that. Those tiles get huge. This is one of those things where, like, you know how you sometimes get like a really super strong tile, but you're scared to lose it because someone's going to match it or destroy it or whatever. This is one of those times that it gets matched or destroyed and you're happy it did. Like, it's super strength on this one. Destroy tiles do not deal damage or generate AP, blah, blah, blah. If used while he's Mr. Negative, though, you deal 50% more damage. Ugh. There's a lot of text there. There's a lot of effect there. But basically, he's going to create a few tiles as long as you have 6 or less. Then if you have more than 6 out there, he destroys all the strike, attack, protects, does a ton of damage for it, and it does even more if he is in Mr. Negative form, which we'll get to soon enough. As a passive, by the way, while he's still in Martin Lee form, like regular human-looking form, the tiles he creates are 50% stronger. Let's move down to analyze stats. It's just a pure passive ability, and this is kind of what helps fuel some of his stuff. So let's try to pay attention. Has a lot of text here. So when he is Martin Lee, he takes 30% reduced damage from matches and abilities, and at the start of his turn, he gains 1 AP in one of his strongest colors. So just for those of you playing the home game, that means yellow, blue, and black. So 1 AP in one of his strongest colors. No, you cannot control which one it is. It's random. But hey, you know you're getting a random blue, yellow, or black. That's always fun, right? He doesn't use blue himself, but hey, I'm sure you have a partner that's going to. When he is Mr. Negative, and this passive instead will let him deal 50% bonus match damage. So, 50% extra bonus match, that's not bad, right? It's better than nothing. And at the start of your turn, you improve all friendly strike and attack tiles by 50% of the current level. That's not bad either. So you don't get that reduced damage from Martin Lee when you're Mr. Negative, but you do improve your tiles a lot more. Next paragraph. If he's taken more than 25% damage, since changing into Mr. Negative, he then changes to Martin Lee and creates 2 big old protect tiles that are fortified. And this cannot be disabled by status effects. So in other words, sending him airborne, stunning him, what have you, is not going to stop that from happening. And remember, when he's in Martin Lee form, he takes 30% reduced damage from matches and abilities. So he basically kind of turtles up at that point if you do more than 25% damage to him after being Mr. Negative. Finally, Reverse Tenet. I really want to have it at 5, but I find the other ability to be too much help. I don't know how I can't keep that blue one at 5. Reverse Tenet for 5 black. He just changes him into Mr. Negative. It's just, one and done. You create a fortified 4-turn black countdown on the board. And while it's out there, 50% of the damage dealt by the target, not by the team, but just by the target, is instead dealt to a random enemy. When that tile expires, the target deals 40% of their current health to all of their allies. That's a lot of damage. especially nowadays. Characters come in this game with a lot of health. That's ridiculous. It still is an amazing ability. If no allies exist, they deal 50% of this damage to themselves. I want you to imagine now you're fighting Shang-Chi, Colossus, Chasm, all kinds of different characters that do a ton of extra damage, right? 50% of the damage dealt by the target is instead dealt to a random enemy. So Shang-Chi punches you for 10,000. Nah, it's only 5,000, and your buddy takes 5,000 too. And then when it expires, they deal 40% of their current health to all allies. This is 5 black. Of course, it is a fortified 4-turn countdown. It can be destroyed and be gotten rid of, but for 5 black, I think I'll take that gamble, wouldn't you? There's a lot of potential damage here. It's a really good ability. And honestly, the fact that it's a 4-turn countdown is the only reason I put it down to 3. Because, well, it's not guaranteed to go off, right? In the end, Mr. Negative, I believe, is a very high potential character, very high level. I'd put him up on high, saying that he's high tier. This ability alone, I know it's a lot of text on everything we've seen so far, right? But if you get the 7 yellow, which is probably the downfall, right? You got to collect the AP. But if you get it, you're creating a good amount of tiles, and they're of a type that you don't have on the board. So if you don't have enough protects, he's making them. Or maybe you're missing some strikes, he's making them. He kind of helps balance your team out. And then on top of that, if he's made too many tiles, he's going to destroy them all and just do straight up damage to the enemy. And it's a lot of damage. And that blue one helping you reduce your damage and gaining free AP, or boosting his tiles that are out there and dealing bonus match damage. And then, not to mention, if he gets in trouble, like takes too much of damage, he's going to turtle up and make some more protect tiles. There's a lot here in this package that he could do. And it's hard to say that he's bad in any way, shape, or form. He's got a really good passives built in with pretty cheap and effective abilities. If you're not winning with him, it's because you're not trying. Or you're fighting on a team of all 5 stars and you kind of walked in over your head. But Mr. Negative can even take 5 stars and make them shine even better. Anyone that helps create a lot of tiles out there on the board, Mr. Negative will put them to use. Remember, 225% damage for your tiles. So, like, I don't know, if Hela or someone else is making a ton of tiles and Mr. Negative destroys them with that yellow, that's a lot of damage. I say he's high tier, but that's just my review of him. Of course, you might have a different opinion. Yeah, Big Wheel, anyone? Right, John? I did not know about Big Wheel before either. Moving on from Mr. Negative, we have Moondragon. Probably a really good teammate to Mr. Negative in some regards. The only thing that sucks is that they both really want that yellow AP to spend. I don't know how you would choose whose yellow is better to spend it on, but let's see why. Okay, for 5 yellow, you divide each of the enemy strike, attack, and protect tiles in half, creating a new tile of that type. If none exist, you create 6 1-strength enemy protect tiles. How cute, right? I just want to make sure you understand the numbers work here. You divide each of those tiles in half. So if they have like, oh, I don't know, 2 attack tiles, 1 strike tile, and 3 protect tiles, right? Well, you divided those 2 protects into 4 protects, but they're each half the value of what they once were. And the 1 strike gets divided into 2 strikes, and then 3 attacks get divided into 6 attacks. Okay? Everything's at half its power it was. You're just making multiples of them. And they're all still enemy tiles. You might wonder why you did that. Well, for 5 yellow, you did just that. And at the end of at the start of your turn, you randomly convert any enemy strike and attack projectiles in excess of 4 into basics, giving your team a nice burst of health and dealing damage to the enemy for each tile converted. So you're healing, you and your team, and damaging the enemy for every tile converted. And you could make a ton of tiles with this. This is only 5 yellow. The optimal way to use this is to keep, like, I don't know, get up to as many as you want, as much as you can handle. Get like 15, 20, 25 yellow AP and just spam the heck out of it. Because obviously 2 tiles become 4, 4 become 8, 8 becomes 16, you get the math. And that's a lot of healing and a lot of damage on the next turns. Moving on from there, we have the Pyrrhic Defense for 7 purple. You get a 4-turn countdown out there, and while it's on the board, enemy strike attacks protects are reduced by 75%. As if those tiles weren't small and being converted anyways, right? Anyways, when the tile expires or is destroyed, so it works both ways, Moondragon deals damage and then uses Moonlight Dispersal. Do you remember what Moonlight Dispersal is? That's the yellow we just talked about. So this purple triggers the yellow even if you just match or destroy this purple countdown tile away immediately. I shouldn't say purple countdown, that's not fair because it could be any color, but you get the point. As a passive, if Moondragon takes damage, no, she doesn't. A random ally takes it instead. And then this defensive countdown tile exists, damage is increased by 50%. So unfortunately, while this tile is out there, more damage comes in towards your teammates, but it's okay. You know why I say it's okay? Your yellow's healing them constantly. Moondragon's allies usually don't have too much of a problem. Sure, they take more hits, but she should be healing them constantly if you play it right. Finally, there's her, probably one of her worst abilities. It's kind of weird to see it down here, but take a look. Here's her Titanian Martial Arts. For 5 red, you destroy the bottom row of tiles. Destroyed tiles don't deal any damage or generate AP, and that's all it does. It's just basically a row destroyer. That's all it does. There's not a lot to do with it. That passive, though, this is why I have it up to 5. She takes 50% reduced match damage and deals the amount reduced back to the enemy, plus 25% for each enemy strike, attack, or projectile on the board. Moondragon's match damage is increased by 25% for each strike, attack, or projectile on the board. This doesn't say friendly or enemy, at least not for that part. The first part it does, but the second part it doesn't. Why do I have it up to 5? Well, honestly, sometimes she takes a hit. Her purple doesn't let her take hits, but when she does, she's counterpunching. It's really good. Ooh, I have a unstable notification here. If the video lags, let me know. But anyways, in the end, I think she's super good as well. She's kind of really helpful, like Martin Lee is, but in a different way. They do work together super well as well. But again, they'd have to share yellow powers, and that gets uncomfortable. So I don't know if that's really a solid plan. A lot of people like to use Moondragon with 2 immortal enemies, so like Immortal Hulk, Chasm, even She-Hulk, people who don't die easily, because Moondragon is shifting the damage to them. They take the damage and they just pop right back up. Moondragon is unscathed. And that's not a bad way to go. Personally, I like the idea of abusing that yellow. Like, I don't know, put out 4-star or 5-star Carnage, let enemy tiles be created, then Moondragon's just passively damaging and healing as you go. Just my thoughts. There's another person that she works really well with, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But to top her off, I'd say she's like I think she's high tier. And it's not because she's doing a lot of damage, it's because of how simple it is for her red to totally own someone with counterattack damage if she's scared of the team, for her yellow to deal damage at the same time, and her purple is just a secondary way of casting yellow, let's be fair. So I think she's a high tier as well. I don't think she has as many fun uses as Mr. Negative has, but she's really super useful in the fact that it's hard to hurt her, hard to kill her, and then when you do get her down by herself, her red basically makes her trouble. Ugh. Okay, come on, 4 stars. Moving on from Moondragon. Let's go alphabetical order, right? After Moondragon would be Penny Parker. Lag for a second. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Penny Parker is not good. Easily the stinker of 2023. I look at this cast of characters and I find a lot of good people showing here. Penny Parker is not one of them. I'm going to describe her. I don't even have her champed fully yet, and don't take this as a, oh, you haven't fully experienced Penny Parker yet, how would you know? No. Stay with me. We're going to go over these abilities, and I think you'll agree pretty quickly. Experimental webbing costs, sad trumpet noise or trombone noise there, right? 7 blue for this experimental webbing. So you stun the target for 4 turns, which 7 blue for 4 turns stun should be standard fare by now, right? And then you get a 5-turn experimental webbing countdown that stuns a target for an additional turn. So when the countdown goes down, there's an additional stun with it. It's kind of weird, right? That you get that additional stun turn when the countdown finishes, but it's after they've already been stunned for 4. Anyways, if experimental webbing is used on a different target, you remove any experimental webbing tiles targeting the original target. So in other words, you're only allowed to have 1 experimental webbing out there at a time. This passive here is kind of weird with it, though. For each friendly experimental webbing tile on the board, this ability's cost is reduced by 1. Do you see that point above it where it says, if experimental webbing is used on a different target, remove experimental webbing tiles targeting the original target? So, in other words, that passive is stating they want you to use experimental webbing on the same character. Like you're hitting them multiple times, because as soon as you fire it at a different character, you're removing the original ones, and that passive really doesn't mean anything. So the experimental webbing wants you to layer the webs on one person to get that passive to really work. Personally, they're stunned for 4 turns. Why would I want to cast it again? I don't get it. That's where it loses me. I don't understand why you'd want to do that. By the way, it says webbing and there's no web tiles mentioned in here. Again, weird, right? Here's the red. Hits keep coming. It's probably one of her better abilities, but still, I think there's better ways to use 7 red. You deal some damage to the enemy, some decent damage for the cost, plus 35% more damage for each experimental webbing tile targeting the enemy. So yes, you could layer the webbing on one person and then hit them for a lot more. Again, you're really focusing on one person with Penny Parker. It's almost like if you had Penny Parker teamed with Ronin, the Destroyer, if you had Ronin out there, and maybe, I don't know, Valkyrie. Like that way you could focus on somebody and make it really worth your while. But I'm struggling to find a good point there. If I want to... When I fight, I usually try to hit the one person that's bothering me a lot, but I want to stun his teammates so they're not interfering. This person, Penny Parker, wants you to do it all to one character. And finally, there's a 10-time slam, 6 black. You deal some damage to the target, extra damage to the other enemies. For every friendly experimental webbing out there, you deal additional damage to all possible targets, including allies. In other words, when your experimental webbing is out there hitting the person and holding them still for you, this ability is going to do more damage, but it also hurts your teammates. And that's kind of weird. I feel like it should hurt your teammates, but then not hurt your teammates if you have experimental webbing out there. It's like you're being punished for using your blue ability first. I don't know. That's just kind of a weird take, in my opinion. Like, why would you not want me to combine my abilities? But that's just my thoughts. No, I think she's definitely low tier. Easily the lowest tier of 2023. She's a web character. She belongs with the Spider-Verse, but she has nothing to do with webbings, like traditional web tiles. She has experimental webbing, which doesn't want you to web multiple characters and hold down the enemy team. Nope, only want to fight one person at a time. And hits keep coming is really strong, but again, you're supposed to target the same person you already stunned. I mean, by practical gameplay common sense, if I stun someone, I don't worry about them for a while. I can move on to someone else and punch them in the face over and over again. That's usually how these things work. So, no, there's no passives that really are worth mentioning, I should say. And the active abilities she has just don't lend to efficient, optimal gameplay design. Yeah, you are punished for using her. That's a good way of putting it. Okay, finally, let's move on to what could be one of Moondragon's best friends, if you want to play this way. Whoa, hello, Scroll. Silver Samurai. You might already know what I'm talking about, but let's dive in case you don't. Silver Samurai, or Keniuchi Harada? Harada. Yeah, I'm good at butchering names. Let's do that all day long. He comes into the game after a long time of honestly being requested by plenty of people online. Not maybe as much as Omega Red, but he does come in with a nice kit that people were hoping to see, and I think it's a pretty nice addition to MPQ. I wish it was a little more guaranteed, but I think if it was guaranteed, it'd probably be too strong. Yeah, seat her with Reptile and Puck. You're right. Penny Parker with Reptile and Puck. Ugh. First off is red, the Tachyon Blade. This deals pretty good damage for the cost to the target and destroys a selected column, so it's not bad right there. But then you get extra damage for each enemy special tile destroyed, so even better. The damage is already good for the cost, and then the tile destruction and road destruction, and then more for enemy special tiles. That's actually really good this day and age. He also ignores damage reduction from enemy projectiles. So, yeah, I don't know why they worded it like this. Usually they just say you ignore projectiles, but this passive is affecting his entire character. So it's not just for this red, it's for every match damage he does, for everything he does with his yellow or black. If it's gonna hurt somebody, he's ignoring projectiles the whole time. I think this part is weird to me. I feel like this whole ignores damage reduction from enemy projectiles should be something reserved for adamantium. Like, you'd think that would be a Wolverine, right? Can we get an Old Man Logan rework where Old Man Logan's adamantium kicks in like that? It's kind of weird that this is reserved just for Silver Samurai. Anyways, Warrior for Hire here is super cheap with 4 yellow. And I think it's honestly, it's probably one of the hallmarks of him. It's super fun. He moves to the front and he converts a random tile, prioritizing any enemy strike or attack or projectile, into a 5-turn countdown. So for 4 yellow, you're already getting rid of an enemy tile. And it targets a selected ally. So let's say you've teamed him with, oh, I don't know, let's say Omega Red, just because, right? While it's on the board, this tile increases Silver Samurai's chance to block damage by 35%. You might be like, what? Chance to block damage? Don't worry, we'll get there. And anytime the protected ally would take damage, Silver Samurai jumps to the front, taking the damage instead. So if we did this to Omega Red, his chance to block goes up 35%, which again, we'll get there. But if Omega Red is going to take any damage, Silver Samurai will take it instead. And as a passive, his teleportation ring passive is unlocked. Just basically having his yellow is unlocking his black passive. Finally, let's read the passive first so that you can understand that yellow a little better. He has a 30% chance to block his enemy's strikes, taking only 30% of the damage. So in other words, for any time he takes damage, he has a 30% chance to only take 30% of the damage. Now remember that yellow, when you cast it, it's going to bump it 35% more, so he'll have a 65% chance of only taking 30% damage. Also, whenever Silver Samurai evades, that's a different word, we'll get there, or blocks damage, he counterattacks, dealing pretty sizable damage to the target. So he can counter matches. Now, of course, you're relying on that 30% to 65% to kick in for blocking. But hey, if it kicks in, you're dealing counterattacks on top of the damage you mitigated. You might be wondering what that evade means. Well, let's go up here to look at that black. For 7 black, he prepares to evade, avoiding the next damage he would take. The next time Silver Samurai would evade or block, his counterattack deals 100% increased damage and steals 2 red. So basically, using this black makes it so like the next time you're going to get hit, he's guaranteed to avoid the entire thing. So he takes it but just avoids it, nullifies the damage to it. And that counts as an evade. Evade says it basically counts as a counterattack. And you read that passive down there, it deals damage to the target. But if you do it after that black is used, it's 100% increased on top of that and steals 2 red AP. A lot to soak in. He is a melee damager who counters melee peoples. He is really good at standing in the front line, taking hits, and delivering it right back. He's not a brawler like M'Baku or like Juggernaut or Rhino. Instead, he's the sort of guy that he's just going to stand toe-to-toe and block and return damage to them, consistently throughout the match. It's really fun, by the way, to see. We all know how Okoye works by now, right? Boosting damage done. Yes, you could use Silver Samurai's yellow for 4, block for Okoye, and then he jumps to the front and counterattacks, and those counters are boosted by Okoye. That's so super fun. Basically, people match damage and then hit themselves in the face for Okoye boosted stuff. Super fun. In the end, I think Silver Samurai is a fun character. Really mixes well with a lot of people, like Moondragon, who misdirects damage, or people that like to boost damage, or people that just plain need someone to tank for them. He's got a lot of good uses. And I think he's really good in a one-on-one situation as well because of the way his teleportation ring and his red works. He's got a good kit. Unfortunately, he doesn't do much more than that. He's not going to stun. He's not going to really generate you any AP. He basically relies on the enemy to hit themselves. He's relying on the enemy to throw a punch so that he can do his special stuff. He's relying a little bit too much on enemy action. And of course, you have to rely on 30% or 65% or whatever it is to kick in so you can have a chance of doing your thing. So I'd say he's like a nice high middle tier. I don't want to say high tier, but like, he's up there with Cosmo and stuff like that. He's got a really good ability, but it's not foolproof. You can definitely work your way around it. There we go. We only got 9 of these characters for 2023, but to be fair, 2023 has had a lot of 5 stars, and we're not done with the year yet. We do have Dr. Bong coming in soon, and, well, we'll get to him when he gets here. It's like chasm math here. That's how a lot of these characters are like, and to be fair, I've seen a lot of people complain about it, about the amount of complication going on with the characters nowadays, and I guess there's a chance that they're going to try to simplify character creation, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I think some of these complex characters are what's breathing some different life into the game. I don't think Moondragon would be fun if she didn't have so much interesting things going on. I don't think Martin Lee would have his fun infinite combos if we didn't have so many numbers being thrown in there. So, as annoying as it is to read and to go through, I think it's kind of necessary for the longevity and the fun of the game. Running out of ideas? Maybe. How many characters deep now in the game? They might be. There's only 6 colors of tiles, 7 if you count team up. There's only so many different special tiles you can create. There's probably more they could do, but they might have to revamp the whole engine if they wanted to do more. So, anyways, on a final note, I want to just, two final notes. First off, how do you guys like this format, what we've been doing here? I mean, went over the basics when it comes to the 4 stars for each year and the 5 stars for each year. I'm thinking maybe I can carry this forward, but in a shortened version. Like maybe for new characters that come out, I could make, we could jump on and talk about the 4 star, the 5 star that's come on into play for the day. And we could just add it to the YouTube playlist. I have a playlist of basics where we go over these characters now. So I could just kind of add them in there as we go. It would give us something extra to talk about every once in a while. And or at the very least, I could make it into a YouTube short, going over it real quick within a minute. So there's one or the other. Feel free to drop those thoughts or comments in the YouTube comments or here on Twitch as well. I'm really down for it all. Well, it's good to hear, John. I appreciate it. And the other thing was a PSA, more of a warning. If you haven't noticed, I have 78 things in my rewards here. That's more than I normally ever do. And it's because I have a ton of 1 stars just sitting here. Why? Well, and some 2 stars. Well, I don't have the HP to roster them all. And we've been, Ascension 2.0 is, this Champ 2.0 thing is live. And you really shouldn't be selling guys anymore. Like, you get the most rewards out of this Champ level stuff. But you need the HP to do it. Now, I know I have the HP to make another slot right now. But I'm saving it. I'm saving it till I absolutely need it. When I get 5 more days goes by and Bullseye's still down there, then I'll buy the slot. The reason being is sometimes these lightning deals hit. These lightning deals right here, sometimes they hit for like 500 HP. And if that 500 HP deal includes a costume that you already have, well, duplicate costumes sell back for 500 HP. So you get the costume basically for free, plus any shards or whatever else they're giving away with it. So I kind of like to keep the HP on hand in case those deals pop up, because obviously I can't buy that deal. If I bought a slot right now, I'd be short about 200 approximate HP. Also, part of the PSA is, you see this Ascended 3-star Thor up there? That's basically 2-star Thor, but it's an Ascended version. Well, I got lucky. I was pulling from a vault, and I got him out of here. Now, you might think that's a really cool thing to do, and yeah, I kind of agree, it is. However, there is a problem. I'm sorry, what was that? You're not a fan of low-level Ascension yet? Who needs more 2 stars or 3 stars if you're in 5-star land? Oh, it's not about that, John. It's about getting better rewards. 1-star covers give us 100 ISO each. But if you ascend a 1-star to 2 stars, those 1-star covers are now giving you 2-star champ rewards. And there's 190 hero points to get out of it. You know, if I could just run the math real quick. Let's see, where's my roster? Go down to 2 stars. We'll click on Black Widow here. If you look at her levels, if you count up all the HP in here, there's 190 HP to grab. It isn't a ton, but your 1-star covers would go to a 2-star champ. And so your 1-star covers are no longer just giving you 100 ISO a pop, they're giving you 250 ISO a pop. They're giving you 500 ISO, they're giving you command points, they're giving you tokens, they're giving you HP. Well, move those 1-star tokens or covers, and they're enough, make them a 3-star. 3 stars give you over 600 HP in their champ levels. Am I ever going to use a 3-star version of 2-star Thor? No. Adamantly no. I can tell you without a doubt no. But will I use 1-star covers to fuel a 3-star Thor getting 3-star champ rewards? Yes. Yes, I will. What they did is they made a system where standard tokens actually mean something again, where it makes people like us want to actually buy slots more often. So it has that crunch, that pressure to buy is now more prevalent. And I'm going to stay strong, as strong as I can. Anyways, the PSA was here for this 3-star Thor. I mean, it's a 3-star Thor, a 3-star version of 2-star Thor, right? I mean, it's stronger and whatnot, but guess what? It still counts as a 2-star cover. Here you go, John. Here's the reason I'm bringing it up. My only 2-star covers in here are Bullseye. I'm doing this on purpose. See these 5 Bullseye covers? That's all I have 2-star land. Let's go to my current 2-star Thor. You see that level up button? This is dangerous right here. If I click this button, it will eat my 3-star Ascension Thor cover. I'm not joking. I actually did this on accident. And thankfully, customer service really quickly responded when I asked them, hey, please refund that back. I did not know that was going to happen. And they refunded my 3-star Ascended 2-star Thor cover back to me. So be careful with your Ascended pulls. If you pull this Thor out of the vault, or anyone like him, it can be eaten. You did this too, John? That happened to you? Did you contact customer service? If you contact customer service, they're very understanding about this because this is a new issue, a new, bug. It's not supposed to work that way. So I would definitely contact customer service if you haven't already. Get it refunded back to you. I did it by just clicking over here and going, yeah, if Storm was one you had eaten, then, click on help. And in the help thing, the little talking bubble up in the corner here, you can actually start a new conversation if you've done one before, and actually type in a message to customer service. Tell them what happened, as many details as you can. Give them your player tag, and they will get back with you pretty quick. Mine was within 12 hours. Yeah, I know it's a teachable moment, John, but let's just do the math here. One 3-star Ascended Thor, or Storm in this case, either way, right, is worth 76 covers minimum. That's a lot, because it takes 13 to champ someone at 2-star level, it takes 50 to bring them up to max champ, and then you need another champ duplicate, at least 13 covers in it. So that's 63 plus another 13. That's 76 covers minimum to make that 3-star Ascended thing. I'm not going to use 76 2-star covers as one champ level. No, thank you. So that's it for me. I think we went through a lot today. We went through a little bit of PSA. We went through the 2023 4-stars. We went through customer service stuff and what the future might hold for some of these character explanation videos and reviews that we're doing. So I think we're good for now. Okay, let's do it. Let's get out of here. Let's go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me, John. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Later, y'all.